Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and we are doing a little update video on the Schroll Estate. So you may remember in one of the last videos, we went through Larry's two main properties where he stored pretty much all of his cars and parts, and we dug out all the really good stuff that's going to be going to auction. August 22nd is going to be like the hot rod, street rod, antique car auction. It's going to be my favorite auction for sure. What we've been working on since then is the family has been moving some of the cars on their own. Unfortunately, our schedules couldn't match up while I was out in Oregon and Washington. They were moving some cars, and I'm going to be going today to help them move some of those cars and get everything kind of moved over with some of those and get everything set up for the auction on August 22nd. I'm going to give you guys a little walk around of the cars that we pull over there, some of the ones they put over there. They shot a little bit of footage with their like GoPro and phone just to add to the video, which will be really awesome. So we're going to put that together, let you guys see what these cars look like out in the daylight for the first time.
More straighter. That's it. Go out straight. Now he's turning, now turning. Hey, 148, what's that?
Over here.
You can go straight back like that. We're in clear.
Over here. All right, so we're back at the Schroll Estate moving some more cars for the August 22nd auction, which we're kind of nicknamed the Street Rod auction, but it's basically all the earlier cars, Model Ts, Model As, hot rods, street rods, even some early Chevys, but all this stuff. So we're moving the Merc today. The first one we're actually going to move is the, we're going to move the other Model A here. But the first thing we're going to move is this complete chassis. And this thing is basically like somebody took a restored car and just ripped the body off. Not ripped, but pulled the body off and used it for something else. But you can see the engine was, the paint's failing a little bit just from sitting. But like even the water pump's all good. And we had put it in gear and rocked it, and you can see just me with one hand turning the engine over.
So it's got good compression and the engine turns, which is awesome. So this is, I keep joking, this is the one I'd like to just buy and throw a neat little roadster body on it, and you'd have a fun little early style car, or even great for restoration. So we're gonna get this one loaded up on the kick-ass rollback and moved over to the fairgrounds. This should go pretty easy, and then we'll work on moving the Model A and the Mercury and see how it goes.
Yeah, it does. It's a little loose, but
See, everything's all been redone and repainted. It's even got the body mounting, welting, if you want to call it that, or material. It's all put on for body. Running board mounts. Brake light switch is even new.
Yeah, it's been hot.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead again. Oh, hold on. The front tires are actually stuck.
I was gonna say this back tire was spinning.
Then it's in neutral because
Yeah.
it's this left front's,
And the brake ain't all the hand brakes.
well, it's the front wheel,
Okay.
so there's no,
Okay, so just keep pulling then.
yeah, it's this one.
Oh, the front wheel turning?
Well, this left front is
Me
not.
on the other side. You
Yeah,
see
the
the
front
other?
on this side is.
Keep going.
All right,
Okay, he's heading up.
we got one wheel that's stuck on this one. One wheel stuck up front.
Oh,
That's why we couldn't roll it when we took it on the dollies.
okay. Wow.
So I've had to roll back and pull it up. Dollies.
Backing on that.
All right, so here's this Plymouth all out in the open now. You guys can finally see it. Remember, this was the treasure trove of old speed equipment and stuff. You can see it's got the like adjustable spoke, later Chrysler wheels on it. The car is actually pretty solid. Just has like a, I don't know, some primer that was sprayed on it just over the original paint probably. But the interior on this car is actually pretty cool. Let's see, it's got old reupholstered seats that have these little like small pleats in them. Businessman's coupe there. The dash is pretty much mostly intact. And I mentioned in the other video the cool shifter and gas pedal down there. I was just messing with this thing a little bit just to check like I always do, but I was able to get the engine to rock over by hand. So I was grabbing onto the fan here, and hard to do with one hand, but I was able to get the engine to actually rock over a little bit. See if we can get it to move. There we go. See, so we got the engine to rock over by hand. Obviously it's hard to get in there, but it's got that huge later caddy engine in it, which is kind of neat actually. But that thing's shoehorned in there. I bet this thing is a blast to drive when it's all together and going down the road. But you can see this thing doesn't have, it's got a little bit of bumps and bruises, a little bit of minor rust, but like this thing's actually pretty solid. And this is the trunk that was the treasure trove. And you can see there's actually still some parts that were bonus left in there. So whoever buys this with some bonus parts, but so there's a battery in it. You can see the wheel wells are actually pretty decent in this thing. The trunk floor is a little rusty, like surface rust just from this mat, but it's not like a basket case falling apart, broken in half. So I think this would be a really unique old hot rod, street rod to kind of put back on the road. All right, so here's the 37 that was over in the old service station building that is super clean. We actually, when we were searching for the parts, we found the headlight trim and headlight glass and all that stuff. I think Larry had taken it off to maybe put some better stuff on, or maybe to keep it from getting broken, but that's all going to be back on the car for the sale. As you guys may remember, it's got, try and get the hood to stay up here, but engine's in it. We haven't really tried to turn it over yet. Being a flathead, it might be a little stuck, but this is one that they remember Larry was driving in recent history. Windshield frame, which always tends to rust on these, is a little rusty, but not rotten. It's just the chrome. But luckily, these are like the same from, I think, 37 to 39 Fords, so they're pretty plentiful. I get them all the time. The hubcaps are missing, the wide 5 hubcaps, but those can be found. But you can see the car is just dusty. It's not really rotted at all from what I can see. See here, there's a little bit of probably some mud work in here, so it might have been restored at some point. But overall, the car presents pretty well. I think this would be a nice one to just clean up as is, polish the old paint out, drive it, enjoy it. Let's see how clean the, let me just walk that on my head. You can see how clean the trunk is. I mean, it's still got a little black paint in there. The gutters are just like a little bit of like flaking of the old paint, but nothing major issue-wise. So this is a really solid, honest car, and it just needs some bits and pieces. You know, the rubber that goes in here that you can get new inside the car. I'm in love with this banjo steering wheel because it is like ridiculously mint. Man, I'd love to have that. But anyways, stays with the car. It's got a really nice banjo wheel that, like I mentioned earlier in the videos, this is a deluxe, so it's got the clock and it has the radio in it, or at least the dial is there, and the dash is really clean. The floor mat is not in the car, but you can see there was, I think, looks like there was maybe a little repair done right around there. but the floor is actually really clean. Here's the spare tire. It's in the back with that. There's an auto locator. Maybe that's actually where he found it. But spare tire. Looks like original upholstery to me, so it's a little worn, but it's all there. But the door cards are missing and the floor mat is missing. All of that stuff you can get reproduction, which is really nice. And the headliner is missing, which is really hard to see, but that's gone. But here, you still got the speaker even up top here. Super cool. But yeah, so this is just a nice, honest car that would be great to put on the road and just clean up and enjoy it as is. It just has a great look to it, and I'm excited to see who grabs this one and what they do with it. All right, here's the tea bucket that they found in a storage unit. They got this moved over when we weren't here, but we can now get a pretty good look at this thing now it's in white. Definitely like a maybe 80s or something build, but it's got the true spokes on it in the rear, I believe. Or no, star wires, but mag wheels or wire wheels on it. It's got the row of gauges in it. Some of the parts they're in it that Larry was maybe tinkering with, but the car's pretty much all there. So definitely something. We're having a small block in it. It wouldn't take much to probably get this thing running. But funky little car. Be fun for somebody. Okay, so here's this Olds finally out in the open. Big Olds. I love this car. I know I've talked about in other videos, but the hood vents on this thing is they're just phenomenal. It's my favorite part of the car. It's got a straight 8 in it. It's got these cool factory artillery wheels on it, which are really neat. Grill is missing a couple of bars. It's been banged up over the years. We're not quite sure where Larry got this thing originally, but it's mostly complete, but just been sitting a very long time. I think you could tell before Larry got it, it had been sitting a very long time. And we found a old resident here, Mr. Dead Cat, that comes with it. So if you guys are into pets, there's one that doesn't eat much. Gauges are all in it. Everything's here. It's just been sitting a really long time. But doors open and shut. It has some rust, obviously, like the running boards and stuff. But the bottoms of the doors and the fenders and all that stuff actually aren't too rotten on this car. So other than bumps and bruises, this thing actually isn't too bad. So it could be a good candidate to restore, because the major structure of the body is all there and very, very solid. It's just the running boards and stuff. Looks like it came out of an old farm or something. And there's our ribs from our old kitty cat. But yeah, the running boards probably are the worst of it. The rest of it's just not too bad. And it looks like it's just that crap was sitting on top of it, maybe hay or, obviously some animal poop. But this thing is a super stylish car. I'd love to see this thing back on the road, but now we can finally see it in daylight, and it definitely doesn't look as bad as it did when it was buried. When we first saw this car, you could barely even tell what the car is, and now we can actually see it in the open, which is pretty neat. All right, and the 34 Coupe that we found a bunch of parts for last time got moved over here. See, it has a later, what I call a late model, not that it's a late model, but it's got a Ford engine in. I don't know if it's 289 or 302, but it has some very sketchy old, this is early hot rodding, just kind of welded together madness for steering and suspension, and the frame was broken there. It has an interesting hood that looks like it might have maybe that's a T-Bird hood scoop that's been grafted in there. But you can tell this thing was painted a bunch of colors. It looks like gold might have been one of the early colors of this thing. So with some of the stuff that's done with the Frenched or tunneled antenna and the quarter panel and all that stuff, I think this thing probably was done in the maybe the 50s or early 60s and then redone later when this other engine was put in. It's got some chrome or later reverse wheels here. I believe it has like a 9-inch underneath, so it's not too bad. Yeah, so the grill's a little banged up on it, but otherwise it's all complete. The body's been welded to the frame, which is a common thing they did back in the day. It's got like wood paneling that was over the channeled area. It's got these bucket seats, but you can see it was purple at some point and also gold. It's got a full row of gauges that are in it. I know it's hard to see in here, I apologize. Full row of gauges. Roll down rear windows still intact. I think the windows, passenger windows gone, driver's windows there. We found this cool plastic, looks like green plexiglass roof is in it, which is kind of neat. The old Hearst shifter. So just a neat car. I think it needs some, this car I think you would have to take all the way apart and to fix all the really sketchy stuff underneath, much like the 32 I got, and then kind of redo it and hopefully honor the past. It's got this really crazy like bumper push bar thing in the back, and with these long scavenger pipes like the 34 I got, the red 34 has. So that was the style. We found the garnish molding, which is hard to see, but it's got the look. It just needs some help, that's for sure. Definitely an early East Coast style car, but very, very cool. But just needs some love. So neat to see this thing finally out in the open. All right, and here's the Mercury. This got washed up and looks a lot better now that it's all washed up. And you see it almost looks like it has some kind of pearl to the paint. I would call this one an amateur custom. It's not something super high-end like a Barris car or a Winfield or anything like that. But it displays very well. We found the other skirt for the other side. We put that back on. They got the tires aired up and holding air. Let's open the door here. It's obviously got the shaved doors, and it's got the interiors like pretty much finished out. It's reupholstered, pleated interior. It's brown, but it's pretty much all there. The roof does have a little bit of cracking and body filler and stuff in it, as you would expect for a custom like this, but the car displays really well. This is a great car if you want to buy something to repaint to your kind of paint scheme. It'd be really great for that, or you could just run it as is. Let's see if we can get this open. And again, another Ford engine. Mounted this later Ford engine. Firewall's been set back for larger engine, but we were able to get this one to turn over by hand very easily. It didn't take much at all. Cranking it over by hand quite easily. I think this thing will run with very, very little work. You can tell this thing, it's probably one that he was driving around and wouldn't require a lot, but this is just 50s bebop as it gets. Great car to just drive as is, or something if you want to update the style. Do a scuff and shoot on this thing, change the hubcaps or the skirts, and you can totally change the look of this car. But the hard work's already done with it being chopped and smooth and louvered. All the really hard metal work is done on this thing. It's just a repaint away and some hubcaps away from being whatever you want it to be. But I kind of like it as is. It looks really, really cool. So can't wait to see what this car does and hopefully see it on the road again. All right, so here's the 22 center door. This thing is, I'm trying to figure out if it's an old restoration or it's actually just this nice and original. It's got some paint that's flaking and falling off, which happens on these almost 100-year-old cars. But the car is just insanely clean. If it was restored back in the day, it was done very well. The interior is like ultra clean. Everything's in here. You can see how clean the interior is. And the car is just a super dry, tight car. We got some shots underneath of the thing when it was rolling off the rollback, and you can see that there's just underneath no rot, no major sins that we saw. Wood wheels are in good shape. They're not all rotted, so these things were possibly redone, but like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing was possibly
all original, but if it was restored, it was done a long time ago. It has a toolbox on it, the luggage carrier on the other side. We found an original toolkit here. Oop. Here's the original toolkit that has the wrenches, the Ford script wrenches and all that stuff in there, and the levers for changing the tires. But very rare car. This would be great to stay an antique. As much as I'm a hot rodder, I think this car should stay as an antique and be put back on the road and used. I'd love to see this at Hershey one day, rolling onto the show field, because this is perfect for that. Engine's all in it. Open this up. Engine's all there. Nothing's really messed with. Again, I think this thing probably could run pretty easily, but you know, it's been sitting a little while. The inspection sticker on the inside is 1978, 1979. But so yeah, good, honest, dry car that would be great for a Model T or brass area type collector. This would be great for that, and I can't wait to see this thing going again. It's got to be really cool to see this going down the road. All right, so here's the last one we moved today. This is the 1930 Model A Coupe that has a light/amateur restoration, but it actually shows really good. This is one that the family told me Larry had actually driven this in a wedding for one of the relatives, and so it was running in sort of fairly recent history. The car, like I said, is an amateur restoration, but it's a great driver. It's super clean, and this is a great car just to take to a cruise in, or you know, for ice cream or whatever. You're not going to win an ACA award with it, but you're going to have a ton of fun. And I think, you know, for an affordable price, you could have a lot of fun with this. But the car is all there. Has the luggage rack and the dual tail lights. It's got the cow lights. I don't know if this was originally a deluxe, but it's got a lot of the deluxe stuff on it. Again, engine turned over very easily by hand when we were messing with it before we loaded. It didn't take a lot to turn this one over by hand. Of course, it's hard to do one-handed, but it was pretty easy to turn this over by hand. You can see the engine, everything looks nice and clean. So I think this whole entire car underwent a restoration, and it displays very well. So this is a good one to get into the antique car hobby affordably, to buy a coupe like this, because it's not going to bring real crazy money, because it's not like a 100-point restoration. But it's also not a rust bucket that's falling apart. So this is one of the ones that when people ask me, oh, what should I buy, you know, and they show me different projects, this is that type of car right here, because it's all there. It's an honest car. Sure, it probably has a little bit of body filler in it, but it displays well, and you can have a ton of fun with it, and you're not going to spend $30,000 or something or more on a, you know, fully perfectly restored Model A. So this one is really cool, and be interested to see what this one goes for. All right, guys, so that's a walkthrough of the most of the cars for the August 22nd Larry Schroll estate auction. We got a few over today, and the family got a bunch over, and they're moving a few more cars before the sale. If you guys are interested in coming to preview these cars, the August Good Guys show at the York Fairgrounds is still currently on, so you can actually preview these cars during the show. So if you're planning on attending the show, it's another thing to do, or if you've been on the fence, it's a great reason to go to the show. You can preview. Otherwise, you can set up a private viewing with the auctioneer. Their link is down below, and you can actually take a look, view all the cars, see them in person. You can also bid online on these cars and a lot of the larger, like speed equipment and bigger parts that you saw us uncover in a previous video. You can bid on those online and buy those, and you can also bid on these cars and have them yourself if you can't make it to preview, or if you can't make it to the day of the sale. We're definitely going to be at the sale. I'm going to be taking a run at some of the parts and different stuff myself, so I hope to see you guys there. If you have any questions or anything we can help with, definitely drop us a message or an email, or you can email the auctioneer again through their website down below. Thank you guys for following along on all these videos with the Larry Schroll Estate. It's been really great to see this, and I can't wait to see some of these cars get in your garage, get worked on, and get put back on the road. Thanks, guys. Catch you later.